What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is part 2 of the transmission rebuild for the Tacoma. This is a R150F 5-speed tranny. We're going through it, doing all new bearings, seals, all that good stuff, freshening it up just because it had some miles on it, and with the diesel, I want to make sure this thing's going to stay together. So we're going to pick up right where we left off last time. I got my bearings and seals and everything in, so now we need to swap out all these bearings on these shafts. So here's the two shafts. All these bearings are getting replaced. This one is just chilling. That one doesn't need to be pressed off. A lot of these have a clip, a little snap ring holding them on, but they are pressed on. So snap ring there, we got to press that off, and press that off. The only problem with some of these bearings is you're not going to be able to get behind just the bearing. So something like this, we're going to have to get our big clamp and press this whole gear off to push the bearing off as well. Not a big deal. I've done it before, so we can do it again. This is the whole kit. These are all the bearings, all the seals, and this one doesn't actually use a gasket for anything. You use RTV or your favorite sealant that you want to use. So let's get started pressing these bearings out. Also, be careful with these synchros. They are not that, I mean, if you drop it on the ground, you might bust one of these tabs off. So just be careful with that. There is a bearing inside of the input shaft as well. So what we're going to do, bust that snap ring off right there and get this set up in the press. What I have is this little bearing separator here. So what we're going to do is clamp that around the back side of the bearing, get that set up in the press like that, and push the input shaft out of that bearing, and then we'll take the new one and press the new one onto the shaft. Get the snap ring back on, and we're done. We can move on to the rest of these bearings. All right, we are back together. All the bearings are swapped out, so we are ready to put this thing back together. Here's the plate. I did put some Pour 15 on it just because it was all rusty, so we got that nice and black once again along with that front cover. So what we got to do is just clamp that in the vise and we can get the shafts through. And then I did buy a new retaining plate for the rear main shaft bearing, and this is the last bearing that we need to put on back here once we get the shaft through that main plate. So let's get this thing back together. All right guys, we're all back together. One thing I'm gonna do real quick is go through all the gears. So we'll start with reverse, which is right there. There's reverse, other side is 5th gear. It is a little tough to shift by hand. And then, let's see, this would be 4th. Right there, there's 4th. And then, I believe that should be 2nd gear. This should be 3rd, right there. And then we should have 1st. Something like that anyway, or maybe that's 3rd there. Either way, it shifts through all the gears, and it's not going to feel very smooth because obviously these gears don't mesh together when you don't have everything in the case halves. And the shift forks, you can see they're locked into the side of the case half, so everything's kind of just a little floppy. So don't be alarmed if you spin it and it doesn't spin very smooth. Just make sure all the bearings are smooth. Look at all the gears, make sure all the gears are good with no chips or anything. And it should be good. Once you get it all together, everything's aligned like it should be, then it's gonna shift and spin a lot smoother. So I guess what we can do now is get this cleaned up. I got some oil on this surface, so I'm gonna get that cleaned up. We're gonna use Ultra Gray RTV, get the 2 case halves together, bolted in, and sealed up. One thing I almost forgot about is we got to swap this seal out. So when you get this kit, it does come with a different style seal. This is more of a heavy duty seal, so it's going to be a lot better than this one that's in there right now. So I'll pry that one out, pound this one in, and we can get this thing back together. All right, that went together a lot smoother than the first time I've done it. I'm getting pretty good at doing these. So what we can do, I got all these bolts just hand tight. They say to give it an hour to actually torque it. So we're gonna give it a little bit of time. In the meantime, I gotta swap this seal out in the front cover here. And then we gotta get those snap rings on these bearings here. Yes, I know they look like they're too far. What you actually have to do is pull the shafts up. I'm going to lay the tranny down, pull the shafts out, and then we can get the snap rings on. We'll get the front cover sealed up and bolted on, and then bolt on the bell housing. there we are. We are completely back together other than transfer case. I haven't got that seal yet and I do want to replace it. So once we get that seal in, we'll swap that out, bolt the transfer case back on the tranny, throw this thing in, and it should last. Hopefully it'll hold up to the torque of that BHW. Well, I guess we'll see. Well guys, I hate to end this video like this. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you know last weekend I went camping, had a little dirt bike accident, busted up my back. My arm does not move right now. So we are not gonna be able to get this tranny back together right now. I'm not sure how long it's gonna take to heal up to where I can actually use my arm. So this video is gonna end right here. And like I said, I'm not sure how long it's gonna take, but when I'm back feeling better, we can throw this tranny back in. And I also did get my ECU. So we are so close to being able to start this thing. It really sucks what happened, but it is what it is. We will get better and get back working on the trucks. I will make a update video if you guys are curious what happened. I'll go more in depth. I really am kind of out of it right now. So I do have a orthopedics appointment in a couple days. So I think I'll wait till after that. They'll give me a little more info on what's going on, maybe a time schedule on how long it's gonna take to get better. But I will make a update video for you guys, let you know what is going on. Well, that's it guys. I'm gonna cut this video here. Really hope you enjoyed it. Go smash that thumbs up button, comment, subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.